Coming up next on NewsDepth, FEMA teams respond to communities hit by the hurricane. Dock workers reached a settlement ending the port strike. Abbey tells us everything to know before registering to vote. You've heard of the Wright brothers, but have you heard of the Wright sister? NewsDepth is now. Hurricane Helene is the second most detrimental storm to hit the United States in the last 55 years, only behind Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Hello everybody, I'm Gabriel Kramer. Thank you for joining us. Last week, President Joe Biden toured storm damage in North Carolina. He had ordered up to 1,000 active duty soldiers to deliver critical aid, food, and water to the hardest hit communities. But FEMA is still struggling to reach some remote areas. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and it is the national organization that helps the United States prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. Isabel Rosales joins a team heading into one of the most remote locations in North Carolina.
Rare and exclusive access.
Look at that, it just falls apart.
Guided up the Blue Ridge Mountains by one of FEMA's 24 deployed urban search and rescue teams. We're deep in hard-hit Avery County, North Carolina.
It just collapsed all the sidewalk.
Portions of Beach Mountain, a remote ski resort town, left unrecognizable by Helene's wrath.
The sides of the road just like washed off there.
These winding mountain roads made further difficult to navigate by obstacles.
We are entering an area that's closed off to regular people. Only first responders are allowed. And it is because it's so treacherous. We're seeing it for ourselves, like thick mud all over the place, trees that are down, portions of the road has crumbled down. So I'm really concentrating here. This is difficult to drive.
And even when debris and fallen trees are cleared by chainsaw and manpower to make way for rescuers, another major barrier.
This FEMA supervisor who's been on his cell phone trying to get in touch with his team to figure out where they're at.
Division Group Supervisor Colin Burress pulls us over.
Can't get a signal. We're seeing for ourselves everything that the governor has been talking about, officials have been talking about, how big of a challenge communication is, not just for civilians, but you guys trying to do these rescue operations.
It is. You know, when you don't have cell service, email, text, all of that becomes a challenge, and it kind of slows things down a little.
Tremendous, right? How frustrating is that?
I don't know, you get used to it. You know, you get out on enough of these, but you just kind of adapt and overcome.
Then, by pure luck, a few of his men spot us.
They found him just out of the blue, so this is great. We're being reunited, and here's the command post right here.
This 80-member FEMA team assisting the North Carolina National Guard, now on day 6 of rescuing survivors stranded and cut off from help. They huddle over maps.
Beach Mountain, the Seven Devils was kind of a priority.
Working out the next day's urgent search.
How does this work? You guys are doing grids? I see this black line right here.
Yeah, it's just easier for us to keep up. And so we'll send squads. We'll say, you know, hit grid 1 or grid 2, grid 3, grid 4.
Before sunset, we roll out.
We came up about 3 miles, but honestly, it feels like 10.
Back down the mountain, a second look at what Helene laid to waste. Before we can make it down, another danger getting through these torn and treacherous roads.
This is a special case. Typically, the roads washed out, in a mountain atmosphere like this. Hurricanes usually happen, towards the coast, but this is definitely more challenges for us that we haven't faced before.
Regardless, first responders across the state push on. More than 400 people rescued so far, says the governor's office, but the work nowhere near done.
Thank you, Isabel. Of course, animals and wildlife have also been affected by the hurricane, and animal shelters across the country, like this one in Wisconsin, have worked tirelessly to try to find animals a new safe home. But they are not the only ones that have found a new home after the storm. Newshound has the story for this week's petting zoo. Hey there, Newshound. Whoa, looks like he is on the trail of something good. That nose can find a good story from miles away. So what'd you find today, Newshound? Is that a baby shark in a freshwater lake? How'd it get there?
A baby shark at Lakes Park. It might sound crazy, but if you know anything about bull sharks, you know they can live just about anywhere.
Bull sharks are really unique. They have this adaptation that allows them to live in fresh and saltwater environments.
Susanna Cogburn studies these creatures at Florida Gulf Coast University. I asked her how it's possible anyone spotted this shark on Sunday, and if Hurricane Helene had anything to do with it.
It definitely could be related. Looking at, kind of the geography of where Lakes Park is, the most probable what happened is it came up through Hendry Creek. And especially with the extra flood water, it could have really, pushed that shark there. And then when the water receded, it just stayed in Lakes Park.
Susanna says living in fresh water might put the shark into a little bit of stress. But as long as it has enough food, it should be okay.
To find out how this aquatic buddy is adapting to its new home, check out the full video on our website or our YouTube channel. Thanks as always, Newshound, and special thanks to our intern Aiden for helping us edit that video. And don't you worry, I'm not gonna start singing that Baby Shark song, but let's jump out of the water to see what's going on in the ports along the East Coast. The ports are where ships and boats dock to unload and load goods. These ships travel across the ocean to bring items like food, clothes, toys, and other goods from one country to another. And dock workers took to picketing last week to demand better pay and job security. The U.S. port strike, which shut down shipping ports from Maine to Texas for 3 days, ended last week after dock workers reached a tentative agreement with port operators. The International Longshoremen's Association, or ILA, reached a tentative agreement with the United States Maritime Alliance until after the new year. Delaney Tarpley has reaction from the workers.
For members of the International Longshoremen's Association, it's a night of celebration.
It feels great knowing that we saved our jobs.
This was a real celebratory moment.
It comes after days of hitting the picket lines.
No contract, no word!
Our crews captured the moment strikers started packing up. After learning the ILA reached a deal with the U.S. Maritime Alliance, both groups reached an agreement on wages. CNN reports it will lead to a 62% increase over a 6-year contract.
Some people are saying, well, the amounts that we're asking for are a lot, but they're not taking into consideration what we're up against.
Port workers say the end of the strike is a testament to the importance of their jobs.
A lot of people is affected by our jobs, and our job is a dangerous job.
But also a testament to the strength of their union.
I've been in many strikes in the 60 years I've been here, many strikes. And I knew that as long as we stayed together, we could get our result that we wanted, we could get it. And this proved that today.
Come January, when the deal will expire, workers say they're looking for the same agreement to be finalized. If not,
we would be back out on the picket line.
Thank you, Delaney. Okay, we have a brand new Politics on Point for you. This one is all about voter registration. A lot of you might be too young to register. You have to be at least 18 years old. But I think you're never too young to learn about how our democracy works. Abbey Marshall helps us cover everything you need to know about registering to vote, who can do it, how to do it, and why it's so important.
Today on Politics on Point, we're going to talk about something super important: registering to vote. Voting is a way for citizens to have a say in how their government is run, and voter registration is the first step to voting. So, how can a first-time voter register to vote? Well, it's easier than you might think. Come with me to the Board of Elections to find out.
My name is Tony Gallagher. I'm Deputy Director here at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections.
My name's Mike West. I'm the manager of the Community Outreach Department for the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. If you want to be a voter, and I hope you do, you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be 18 years old, or if you're going to be 18 on or before the November election, you can register and vote as well.
When you register to vote, you'll fill out a form. You'll put your first name, last name, and middle initial. You'll also put your current address on the registration card. Also your date of birth, your ID, which would include a driver's license or last 4 digits of your social security number, and you would sign it as well. After you submit your voter registration card, we have workers who will put it into our voter registration database. That information is compared with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and the Social Security Administration. After your registration is processed, we mail you what's called an acknowledgement card, and with that it'll provide what your current voting location would be, is if you want to vote on election day. The registration deadline is 30 days before the election, and at that point the voter registration database is locked in for all the people who will be voting in that election. And it's important, if you have never registered, you need to register before. Also, if you've moved or had a name change, you can update it at that time and still be able to vote a regular ballot. However, if you are registered, but maybe you moved and didn't update your address the month before, you can still vote on election day or early here at the Board of Elections by completing a provisional ballot.
Most people come to vote with a driver's license or state identification card. And that's very convenient because if you look at the back of them, there's a barcode. And we scan that barcode and their information immediately comes to us on a screen so that we can verify the voter is who they say they are. So that's really all it takes. Once you're registered, bring your ID and go to vote. And of course, the final thing after you vote on election day, you'll get an I voted sticker.
The holiday season has begun, and those of the Jewish faith just celebrated one of their biggest holidays of the year. Rashash Shana is the Jewish New Year, making the beginning of the High Holy Days. It usually falls in September or October, depending on the Hebrew calendar. Rashash Shana is a time for reflection, prayer, and celebration. Traditionally, people observe Rosh Hashanah by attending synagogue services, blowing the shofar, and enjoying festive meals that often include sweet foods to symbolize a sweet new year. It is also a time for self-examination and making resolutions for the coming year. Rosh Hashanah lasts 2 days, and it is followed by Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. One of those treats associated with the holiday is challah. Hundreds gathered in Cherry Hill, New Jersey last week in celebration of Rosh Hashanah. The group of women and girls gathered to bake this traditional Jewish pastry. Aziza Schuler explains how this year's holiday has special meaning.
800 women and girls, 7 simple ingredients, all coming together for one purpose: to mix, knead, and braid a beloved Jewish tradition, challah.
Challah is a commandment, it's a mitzvah from the Bible, from the Torah.
Typically passed down from mother or grandmother, it's a recipe learned as a child and enjoyed on Shabbat. Monday evening, Chabad Lubavitch of Camden and Burlington counties hosted its mega challah bake ahead of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. Everyone preparing 2 special loaves for the holiday.
It's round, symbolizing the cyclical year.
The flour, the sugar, the yeast, the oil is all pre-measured, and that way we can give a little bit of the significance of what each ingredient really means spiritually.
When we add the sugar, it's to symbolize sweetness in our life, so I always add a little pinch at the end for extra sweetness. Oil was used for the anointing of kings and stuff, so I think of my children.
As the dough rises, so do a mix of emotions, remembering the tragic attacks by Hamas on Israel nearly 1 year ago on October 7th.
And here we are a year later, and we stand in solidarity with our friends, our family. A lot of us have personal connections.
Liav and Ofri, visiting from Israel, are in New Jersey for a 1-year immersion program.
After October 7th, we started making challah way more often.
They now say an extra blessing over the dough, hoping that as it bakes and they break bread, it'll bring healing to their families.
Thank you, Aziza. Now I'm getting hungry. But let's get back to the news. 2 NASA astronauts, Sunita Suni Williams, who was from Ohio, and Barry Butch Wilmore, have been stranded in space since June 5th. Williams, the mission's pilot, and Wilmore were scheduled to spend just more than a week aboard the ISS. But due to technical difficulties with their spacecraft, they now have been up there for more than 100 days. But they finally have a ride home. A SpaceX mission just arrived at the International Space Station with 2 empty seats. The seats that will bring the astronauts back down to Earth next year. Natalia Garcia has their story.
2 NASA astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, traveled to the International Space Station back in June, but things did not go as planned. Their spacecraft suffered helium leaks and propulsion problems on the first leg of its flight. Their trip was extended from 8 days to 8 months. They have both been in space twice before and are military veterans. They know how to adapt and be resilient. The mission's pilot, Suni Williams, says that deployments sometimes change. A deployment is an assignment for military personnel.
We're both, Navy. We've both been on deployments. We're not surprised when deployments gets changed. I mean, our families, our families are used to that as well.
The astronauts have integrated as part of the team of the space station, which means they are performing routine maintenance tasks and conducting science experiments. Experiments like how to water plants without gravity. A few months isn't an unusual length of time for astronauts to be at the space station, so there is no worry about food or supplies running out. But Butch appreciates the concern from people back on Earth.
And I just want everybody to know how much we appreciate that. The concern for us specifically is very heartwarming and like I said, much appreciated.
The astronauts' daily lives in space don't look too different from our lives on Earth. Aside from the scientific research and spacewalks, they get free time during the weekends and get to celebrate holidays. They are even voting from space.
I sent down my request for a ballot today, as a matter of fact, and they should get it to us in a couple of weeks. And absolutely, yes, it's a very important role that we all play as citizens is to be included in those elections, and NASA makes it very easy for us to do that. So we're excited about that opportunity.
Crew 9, a SpaceX mission, just docked at the International Space Station with the important assignment of bringing back Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore. The Crew 9 ship only had 2 crew members on board instead of the usual 4, because Suni and Butch will occupy the empty seats when it returns to Earth in February 2025.
We've got a ride home, and we're looking forward to the next couple months and doing a lot of stuff for the International Space Station.
Thank you, Natalia. And that brings us to our Write to Us for this episode. What do you think life would be like in outer space? You can send us your day-to-day schedule on the ISS using our inbox form online or by sending us an email to newsdepth@ideastream.org. On our last episode, we talked about some tech advances that could help us get a little greener. And we wanted to know, what are the ways you think technology could help the environment? Let's listen to some of your ideas by opening our inbox. Sammy from Mason Elementary in Mason starts us off with, Dear NewsDepth, technology can help the environment by looking for earthquakes and wildfires and tsunamis to help the world and people. That's a great use of the technology, Sammy. Lexi from Springmeyer Elementary in Cincinnati would like to see materials help nature. Technology can help by making a machine that could smoosh garbage, not just plastic, and make it into soil or sand so we would not have as much garbage all over our state. 5th grader Zayden from Preston Elementary in Cuyahoga Falls is already using technology to do research. I think technology can help the environment because if you want to answer something or you need to ask or know something, you can just Google the answers. And if you want to know something hard, you can use the technology. Rosalia from Groveport Madison Elementary in Columbus says that even things you use every day can be environmentally conscious. Technology helps us make metal bottles so we can reuse it, have nice cool water instead of plastic ones. And Manoa from Barr Elementary in Canton would like to see more renewable energy sources. Dear NewsDepth, I think that wind turbines help the environment because they help with pollution in the air. Solar panels are also helpful with pollution going away and are great forms of technology being used to help our environment and powering homes. Great brainstorming, my friends, but we're taking off with this next story, so buckle up and prepare for a smooth landing. Planes can be fascinating to any kid, but especially for one 7th grader in Virginia. The 12-year-old boy is making history as the youngest student to enroll at a flight academy. Beverly Kidd has more on this story, which is uplifting in more ways than one.
From a young age, planes have always fascinated Norfolk resident Aiden Schneider.
At the age 8, he asked me, he says, Dad, can I go flying? I said, sure. Took him out for a fan flight here at Norfolk Flight Center.
On that flight, the instructor let Aiden take the yoke and fly the plane.
I was just amazed, and it was scary, but more amazing than scary.
First instructor says he knows how to fly, so enrolled him, and from then on I took off from there.
becoming the youngest student ever enrolled at the school.
We can actually start them at any age, that their parents give them permission, and then pretty much they're able to reach the pedals.
Aiden's flight instructor and owner of the Norfolk Flight Academy, Peter Serena, says the 7th grader is a natural.
Even today, we switched him to another airplane to fly because we had the other one wasn't available. So with that aspect, he transitioned from one to the other, picked it up, did a real nice job flying that one today.
Looking down on the views, and it feels great to see the tree and everything, and just the fact that you're practically on the road in the sky.
60 flight hours later, Aiden seems very comfortable behind the controls of this single-engine Cherokee with a proud mom along for the ride. He says his friends didn't believe him at first when he told them he could fly a plane.
When I told them that I was actually flying and then I showed them my flight gear, they were like, that has to be your dad's.
His dad was in aviation maintenance in the Navy, so maybe that made an impression on the young pilot early on. Even though he can't get his pilot's license until he's 17, he's already navigated a clear itinerary for the future.
My long-term goal is to become a commercial pilot. I don't know what airline yet, but the progression to get there is first to get my private pilot's license for a single engine, which are like these piston engines.
Thanks, Beverly. We've all heard about the Wright brothers, who are best known for inventing and building the world's first successful airplane. But what if I told you their journey to the skies wouldn't have been the same without their sister, Katherine Wright? Today on No Ohio, Zaria Johnson shines a light on Katherine, the unsung hero behind the scenes.
You've probably heard of the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, the famous duo who are credited with inventing and building the world's first successful airplane. But did you know they had a sister who played a crucial role in their success? Today, let's talk about Katherine Wright, the Wright sister. Katherine Wright was born in 1874 in Dayton, Ohio. She was the youngest of the Wright siblings. Growing up, she shared a close bond with her brothers and was an integral part of the family's success. Integral means essential to complete the team. Unlike her brothers, Katherine pursued a formal education and graduated from Oberlin College, making her one of the first women of her time to achieve such a milestone. Katherine wasn't just a supportive sister. She was an essential member of the Wright team. She managed the family household, which allowed her brothers to focus on their experiments. And she also handled much of the Wright brothers' correspondence and business affairs, helping to secure patents and deal with legal matters. One of Katherine's most significant contributions came in the form of moral support. When the Wright brothers faced skepticism and setbacks, Katherine's unwavering belief in their work provided the encouragement they needed to persevere. Her presence was especially vital during their trips to Europe, where she helped negotiate and promote their aviation achievements. Katherine was also one of the earliest female passengers in an airplane. She flew with Orville in 1909, breaking barriers for women in aviation. Katherine Wright's legacy is a testament to the importance of support and collaboration. While she may not have been at the controls of the airplane, her contributions were just as crucial in getting it off the ground.
Thank you, Zaria. Collaboration can really help a project reach new heights, but sometimes working alone means you can be as creative as you want to be. For our poll this week, we want to know, do you like working as a team or working individually? Jump over to our poll page to vote. You can choose between I love collaborating with a team or I prefer to work by myself. And last week, we asked you how often you read in a typical week. But let's get to, well, hold on, let me get my reading glasses to read the results. Wow, a lot of you really like to read, although I'm not surprised. 56% of you said you read almost every day. About 32% of you said that you read at least 3 times a week. 6% of you told us that you read about 2 days every week, and another 6% of you said you read at least 1 day a week. Thank you for voting, and thanks for motivating me to read even more. I gotta stop at the library and pick up a few new books after this. Okay. We just learned that a lot of you love to read, but how many of you love algebra? What about basketball and board games? What if I told you there was a way you could enjoy all 3 at the same time? Really, it's true. You see, this week's A+ award winners found a way to do exactly that. Elena and Eva are 6th graders at Incarnate Word Academy in Parma Heights. They play a game called NBA Math Hoops. The board game uses basketball as a way to strengthen algebra skills and relies on teamwork. Ms. Rebar told us that she is really impressed by how Elena and Eva work as a team while playing. She told us that not only are they becoming stronger math students, but they become even greater friends. The girls often use their free time during the school day to play, including recess and lunch. I can tell all of the math teachers watching right now are excited to hear about these two students practicing math during recess. Students who play NBA math hoops can also participate in local, regional, and national level competitions. Eva and Elena got to play at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, where the Cleveland Cavaliers play in downtown Cleveland. And Elena even advanced all the way to Worlds, which was held this past summer in New York City. Ms. Rebar told us that their hard work on NBA math hoops is a great example of how students can live the warrior charisms, which are character traits that are important for students at Incarnate Word. Those include wisdom, accountability, resilience, and being open-hearted. This week's A+ award goes to Eva and Elena for their dedication to math, games, and being great friends. And that's a wrap for this week's show, but let's keep the conversation going. You know we always want to hear from you, and there are plenty of ways to do it. You can send us a letter. We're at 1375 Euclid Avenue. That's Cleveland, Ohio, zip code here, 44115. And you can email us at newsdepth@ideastream.org. Plus, you can catch all of our special segments on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you're old enough so you don't miss out on any of our new videos. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gabriel Kramer. We'll see you right back here next week, and happy Filipino American History Month.
NewsDepth is made possible by a grant from the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation.